We do today see that there is a strain in the relationship between Chavez in the United States and, of course, Castro in the United States. And one thing that McCain believes in, and a lot of Republicans believe in, is to establish free trade agreements with other Latin American countries. One of them recently was the Colombia Free Trade Agreement, which Pelosi and a lot of Democrats opposed to. And but we believe that if we have these trade agreements, it strengthens our relationship. Not only that, but also capitalism and democracy. Because if we cannot work with other countries, we need to foster these relationships, strengthen those allies that we have, so it kind of prevents them from falling in the same type of regime that Chavez has, he's been working on and Castro's had for 50 years. And McCain does believe in easing restrictions on Cuba based on, the developments of what's going to happen to Castro after he is gone.
Relative to Hugo Chavez and the Americas, Latin America, the Republican administration over the last 8 years has been very ineffective and relative to negotiating with presidents like Hugo Chavez, for instance, and being able to negotiate with foreign countries on any terms other than the terms of their leaders. So we haven't been able to do that effectively. We haven't been able to negotiate with the heads of these countries that directly affect our U.S. economy in certain ways. Let's not forget that Latin America is very close to the United States, and we trade with them. We have to create a better diplomacy between these countries and ourselves and our world leaders and our president and vice president, so that we're able to go in and negotiate, and so that we're able to go in and balance trade agreements and talk about tariffs and negotiate tariffs and tax breaks, and ensure also that the workers in these countries, that their human rights are protected. To me, that's fundamentally really important, that when we are trading with these countries, and that we have human rights policies in place so that these folks aren't being taken advantage of.
The majority of our people in our party do believe in the search of oil here off our shores here in America, and of course in places like Anwar. But due to major special interest groups and Bill Clinton signing, basically banning offshore drilling, we've limited ourselves. And what's happened is we've seen an economic shift in power to overseas countries. And it's very important. I know it takes a few years to develop. Once we start drilling now, it's going to take years for us to see the fallback on that, but that's not the only solution that we believe in. We believe in looking at solutions like Brazil has done with ethanol and the flex fuel vehicles that they've brought about in Brazil, and also renewable energy and gas. So we just can't drill. We have to diversify our options.
Well, I will tell you that Senator Obama is very concerned with America's dependence on oil and the rising gas prices. We are feeling it in the pockets every day when we fill up our tanks. I know that for me it cost $80 to fill up my gas tank, and I can't imagine what that is like for individuals that actually make their income and their living off of deliveries and or taking your kids to school and to practice and to the tutor, and it's really difficult for families right now to continue to get hosed, no pun intended, at the gas pump every week when they have to fill up their car. So are we going to have to look at exploring other options? Absolutely. Is drilling off the shores of Florida a fix? No, it is a short-term fix, and we're talking a lot about that in Congress right now. And what you'll hear from the Republican Party is drill now, but what we also have to do is keep in mind that our environment and our ecological, our beaches and how Florida actually generates revenue is protected here. Our beaches are one of the first and foremost draws for tourism in the state of Florida. If anything were to happen, if we had a spill, or if anything were to happen to that, we would be in big trouble, big economic trouble. Florida's already in economic dire straits, and we will see that that would pretty much end vacationing here in Florida. So we have to be very careful. It's a fine line that we're walking when we talk about exploring for new opportunities. But we are absolutely going to have to wean ourselves off of dependency on oil and become a more environmentally friendly and green global world.
Some of the important issues among Republicans is strengthening the families and by coming up with solutions to help burden the cost, especially when it comes to their pocketbooks and health care. So I would have to say that economics, education, and health care are the top 3 priorities among Republicans. Also, national security is a major issue as well, and securing our borders, primarily with illegal immigration, and having to tackle that. And what I've seen lately, the trend is that social issues have been kind of, the bottom of the list among issues. Of course, they're important issues, but right now, what you're hearing everyone talk about is the economy, the economy, economy. And a lot of people, especially Hispanics, really see that education is important because we're a very young group. On average, our average age is 27 years old, and a lot has to do with the fact because the majority of them are under 18. So when you think about it, that's a lot of parents that have kids in school, and they really feel that education is a solution to a lot of the problems that we have.
That's a tough question because all those issues are important to me. They're important to Latinos, but I would say honestly, right now, the economy is one of the driving issues that we're hearing about in the press every day, all day long. What the news is covering, people are certainly feeling it in their pocketbooks and in their jobs, and so we're going to have to address the economic crisis that the country is in right now. Second to that, I would probably say that that terrorism might be second, but a lot of these they fall in line with one another. I think that right now the economy and healthcare are probably 2 of the top issues that we're going to hear about in this election.
In my opinion, I think the decision of Roe versus Wade was a negative effect on America, primarily because the Supreme Court justices at that time did not interpret the law. They basically created a law. There were already states prior to Roe versus Wade that did provide abortions, that it was not illegal. It was legal in those states. And basically, by doing this, they federalized abortion. And I personally believe it should be a state issue to decide, whether or not to have abortions or up to how many weeks. It kind of reminds me with the alcohol. Alcohol is legal. You can sell alcohol, but the way it was written in the amendment, it's up to the states how they want to do that. And there's over 600 municipalities and about 100 counties in the state, in our country, that prohibit the sale of alcohol. So in the decision with Roe versus Wade, I really think that should be up to the states and not federal government to dictate.
Absolutely positive. It is not our job to legislate morality, no matter whether we were raised Catholic, whether we're Latina, whether we are Black. This is an issue that should absolutely transcend gender. It should transcend ethnicity. It is not the job of our legislators to tell women what they can and cannot do with their bodies. In my opinion, that is a fundamental right for women to be able to choose and make decisions, and healthcare decisions, and all healthcare decisions relative to their bodies. Do I want John McCain and George Bush telling me what I can do with my body? Absolutely not. If we elect John McCain, we are we are risking our Supreme Court and putting it in the hands of judges that will legislate from the bench. And we have to be very careful as women. We have to be very careful as people that want to protect the rights of all, to ensure that when you're in that ballot booth on election day, you think long and hard about the legacy that what a Republican administration will leave us with as women, and will leave our daughters with. And that is one of controlling our bodies and controlling our decisions, and we don't want that.